ang bansa sa ICC.
Ang hindi natin pagpapalitan sa ICC ay po issue ng soberanya.
And on the issue of the country's drug war under the Duterte administration, the Department of Justice says it will only share information with the International Criminal Court out of courtesy and not out of compliance.
Sinasabi naman namin may investigasyon naman dito. At patuloy rin naman ang investigasyon. Bakit magkakaroon ng ganon?
The government may share drug war data with the International Criminal Court, but the Justice Department was quick to clarify it's not about compliance, this is courtesy, but how much information is the Philippines willing to give to the ICC? The answer in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to this Thursday edition of The Chiefs. I'm Lingao. Online is Pamintuan of the Philippine Star joining us from the port area in Manila. Ami, magandang gabi at maligayang Huwebes.
Happy Thursday.
Oh, isang araw na lang.
Oo nga.
Biyernes na. Talaga nagbibilang eh. Oh, anong top story niyo for tomorrow? What's your banner story?
Hindi well, yung mga importations ng sugar, titigilan na muna daw at lahat ng sugar production natin. No, not the importation, the exportation, sorry.
The export.
Lahat ng sugar natin, ika-classify for domestic consumption lang. Wala daw munang export.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I think we have a quota of around 100 plus thousand metric tons of sugar for the US.
Classification nyo na A. So wala daw muna yon, pero i-renew naman daw as soon as mag-stabilize yung supply natin and prices.
But I suppose some people may be surprised that we're grappling with what appears to be a sugar shortage, but at the same time, meron pala tayong sugar exports.
Yun ang natin eh. Yun yung sistema natin, di ba?
Yeah, it's always been that. Yeah.
So kung may surplus, at least meron kagad tayong ready market. So explanation sa atin.
Yeah, because it is a preferential, I think it is, we do sell it at a preferential price to the US. It goes way back post-war with our sugar quota with the United States. But anyway, we have a lot to talk about tonight because joining us in a little while after the gap will be Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, who will be talking to us about a wide range of issues. But we will still take a break for now, and we will be back with Secretary Remulla. So please stay with us. Welcome back to the Chiefs here on One News, and now joining us via Zoom is Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Boying Remulla. Sir, glad to have you with us tonight, and welcome back to Chiefs.
Good evening. Maraming salamat sa inyo pag-ngayon.
Maraming salamat, sir, for joining us. Sir, in part a continuation of our conversation earlier, sabi nga ninyo earlier kasi na the Philippines is willing to share observations or perhaps data with the ICC, not as a matter of compliance, but as a matter of friendship. And you also mentioned na in large part, baka si Solgen Guevara, yung hihimay doon sa anong ipapadala. But from your perspective, sir, to what degree and what kind of data should we be sharing with the ICC?
Well, the latest developments. We have cases filed, I think, last week, we came up with 4 more cases involving 12 policemen and 4 victims. And this we intend to share with the ICC as a matter of information to them that we are working on these cases as our own legal system is working. And the difficulty really is looking for witnesses to testify on this EJ case, extrajudicial killings, so to speak. It's so hard to prove a case without a witness, and there are still some stumbling blocks in the law, even on witness protection, that would make things difficult because law enforcement officers are not covered by witness protection right now. And we will have to ask Congress to amend the law so we can have them under the witness protection program. Because if they're the only ones who can speak about the happening of certain crimes, how can we prove it if there is no witness protection for law enforcement officers? So that is one of the problems that we are encountering in this issue.
Pero may natanggap po ba kayo mga feelers from police officers who are willing to talk openly about what happened in certain incidents? Kaya kayo nag-iisip ng ganyan? Humihingi ba sila ng protection?
Kulang pa kami sa ganitong contact. That's why we are launching certain communication lines open within the next few days. Kasi nga, kulang pa ng data at kulang kami sa testigo tungkol sa mga pangyayari. And, pero ang alam naman namin, maraming gusto magsabi. Ngunit nga, ang problema nga amin, yung ating witness protection program, na-review ko kanina, yung batas, yun nga hindi nga covered ng law enforcement officers. And pagka sinabi natin na EJ case during the drug war, most probably people are referring to our law enforcement officers. Siyempre, pag hindi covered yan, we will have to look at other means to protect them. Sa ngayon, marami tayong arrangement sa resettlement of witnesses in other countries. But of course, we can always try. And in the past, I studied it. Meron na tayong efforts to speak to other countries to allow them to resettle witnesses who are having problems in our country. Pero yun nga, we're still looking for witnesses. Yun ang pinakamahalaga para magawa natin ang dapat gawin dito in solving many of these EJ case. And of course, ang mahalaga rin namin is to have the complaining families, the mga family members who want to complain, to have a line to talk to so they can say whatever leads they've had. Kasi alam niyo naman, sa culture natin mga Pilipino, pag meron nangyari, tayo mismo ang naghahanap ng paraan para ma-solve itong mga katanungan natin tungkol sa mga pangyayari sa ating mga mahal sa buhay.
Mukhang malaking challenge yan, Secretary, ang witness protection kahit sa civilian pa lang, ano? Yung sa police side, medyo matatagalan yung legislation natin. Meron bang interim arrangement na possible to provide protection to those who are willing to talk?
Well, they can be protected by the FBI. Definitely, meron tayong law enforcement people who can protect them.
Yep.
Tsaka yung yung mga civilians naman, talagang covered naman ng witness protection. But for the law enforcers who may wish to speak, andyan po ang National Bureau of Investigation. Subok na po sila sa protection po ng mga testigo. I think the NBI has a very good record in protecting witnesses.
Sir, I'm not sure if I heard you right. Did you say na maraming gusto magsabi o magsalita na potentially police officers, and that's why you're looking at you're looking at a proposal for a law that will allow police officers to join the witness protection program? Did I hear you right, sir? Parang ganun?
Yes, yan ang pakiramdam natin. No? That's how we feel about it. Marami hong gustong lumabas dyan o magtumestigo, ngunit hindi naman sila makalabas dahil nga wala silang protection sa batas. Ang sabi ko nga kay Ami kanina, kung meron tayong protection na pwede ibigay, ito yung NBI custody na pwedeng babantayan ang kanilang mga buhay. Pero
Yes, sir.
under the Witness Protection Program, under the law which created the Witness Protection Program, hindi pa covered ng law enforcement officers.
Yes, sir.
I think we have to amend this law to allow the resources to be used for them. Kasi ito nga, may mga kaso na sila lang ang pwedeng tumistigo. Kasi nga, kung walang ibang magkakasama sa isang pangyayari kung di sila, sino pa magsasalita? Paano tayo kukuha ng testigo? Yan ang isa sa mga stumbling blocks natin ngayon sa investigation ng EJ case.
Yes, sir. Sir, what kind of numbers are we talking about? I know you cannot give us, siguro you cannot give us a fixed number right now, pero at least a rough number, just to give us an idea of how...
I don't want to give numbers. Alam mo, I'd rather that we remember them by their names and their faces. Kasi kawawa naman ng tao pag statistics lang sila. Sana yung kanilang pagkatao na lumabas, kung sino-sino yung nawala, yung mga pamilya magreklamo, silang na may strong bakit sa atin, para naman ma-humanize naman itong pangyayari dito. We don't want the numbers to rule us in this regard. Kasi nga, these are people who lost their lives.
Yes, sir. No, sir. What I mean, sir, is yung mga gusto magtestigo ng mga police officers.
Wala tayong numbers pa, and we don't have the numbers yet. But I suppose that because they know their law also, their law enforcement officers, if they only knew that there's witness protection, many of them may take advantage. Alam niyo naman na meron talagang nagkaipitan yata, parang gano'n ang pakiramdam ko. Yan ang aking pakiwari sa mga pangyayari noon, na maraming napilitan sumama sa mga pangyayari na hindi naman gustong sumama.
Mm-hmm.
I will not even say that all of them wanted things to happen the way they happened. Pero dahil nga dyan, hinihikayat natin sila magsalita. At sana ay makuha natin sila na tumestigo para naman malagyan ng klarong closing naman sana sa mga kaso dito. Kasi cases closed are better than cases open.
Yes, sir.
Forever.
Yes, sir. Well, actually, sir, I think that's a refreshing statement from government, from any government official. Kasi that does seem to give the impression na kasi for the longest time, a lot of officials have been saying that there was no such thing as EJ case and so on down the line. Now we're looking at the possibility of government proposing witness protection for police officials or police officers who want to talk because they felt like they were naipit.
Well, that's part for the course, Ed. When you are in my job, you look at all possibilities. Hindi naman pwede isarado mo yung isip ko sa mga pwedeng nangyari. That's kaya my mind is open to people. My mind is open to accepting whatever facts there are. Hindi naman pwede magkaroon tayo ng closed mind when the job that given to us entails being open to all suggestions and all kinds of witnesses and all kinds of stories that may be told about what happened. I'm just opening my all avenues possible for these cases to be solved.
Yes, sir. Sir, in terms of liability, sir, in terms of liability, hanggang saan kaya pwedeng umabot ito? If you're talking to police officers who may want to testify or be part of the witness protection program, hanggang saan kaya yung liability nito?
I will not speculate, Ed. There's always the concept of chain of command or command responsibility. But this has to be proven more than anything else.
Yes.
Well, it's very hard for us to cast aspersion on people in the higher up ranks when we do not even know what happened in the field. Tingnan natin case by case kung saan pupunta ang bawat kaso na maaaring sumambulat sa harap natin. We have to look at them on a case-to-case basis.
Secretary, did I also hear you right? Now you are considering foreign resettlement for certain witnesses?
Well, sometimes pagka police na involved, law enforcement, that may probably the only way for them to have a peace of mind. Kasi nga, it's very hard to speak against people of the same cloth. Alam naman natin yan, di ba? So, if that is what it takes, then we will open programs for that. We will try to open programs to be able to solve these cases. Alam mo naman, Ami, we just want to get to the truth of the matter. We don't want propaganda to rule us. We just want the truth.
You will need to coordinate with foreign governments for this kind of arrangement, no?
Yes, the DFA can actually start doing it for us. We work on a cabinet basis. I know the other heads of agencies. Siyempre, pwede naman na tayo makiusap sa kanila to start the ball rolling at subukan ng pag-open na ng avenues and doors so that we can protect witnesses who may wish to come forward.
In the meantime, we know that President Marcos has already said hindi na tayo babalik sa ICC, no? But at the same time, sabi niya mag-craft daw ng proper response para walang misunderstanding. Nasa na po ba tayo doon in that crafting of the proper response?
Yun na yan. I mean, no? we're looking at all the data being submitted to us. We are organizing that. We are trying to show how our justice system is working. Hindi nga, sabi ko nga, it's not as easy as it's easier said than done when it comes to crimes without any witnesses. Kaya nga, the only hope that we have in really solving these problems, these crimes, is for witnesses to come out. Kaya lahat ng paraan gawin natin. Kaya nga sabi ko nga, even if we have to amend the witness protection law to be able to admit law enforcement officers, so be it, whatever it takes to be able to solve these crimes.
Pero completely closed na ba yung door to rejoining the ICC as far as you understand the mood dito sa bagong administrasyon?
Alam mo, Ami, ang ICC kasi is for really those countries with no legal system. Siguro Somalia and Sudan are examples of those that really need the ICC to function. Pero, Ami, makikita mo naman, kahit ang US congressmen, nagpunta sila sa korte, they filed a petition in court to be able to visit Leila De Lima, and the court granted them permission. You see a judiciary working in that case, di ba? So, it just goes without saying we have a system of justice. The Supreme Court is there. Chief Justice Alex Esmundo is on top of everything. And we have a Department of Justice with the prosecution here, waiting for witnesses to come forward so that we can really charge people who are responsible for the crimes.
Sir, if ICC investigators want to come to the Philippines personally to do their own investigation, what happens then? Will they be allowed? Will they be welcome? Will there be cooperation?
Mahirap sabihin yan, Ed, kasi if they assert jurisdiction over our country, I don't think that that's fair to us. No? They will have to pass to us. They will have to make their request. They will have to say what legal system they're going to use and what compulsory process are they going to use to get witnesses to speak, and by what laws are these going to be judged. Yun ang problema doon. It's easier said than done. Are they going to take over our country? Yan ba yung gusto nila mangyari? Huwag naman, di ba? We are a sovereign country. They are not welcome to take over our legal system, not by a far mile.
So, but sir, if they physically apply for a visa to come over, what happens then? Will they be allowed?
Actually, visa-free naman ang visa Philippines. They can come over. But for them to officially do what they want to do is another matter. They will have to speak to the DFA first if they want to do something in our country. And that will be discussed. That will be a matter between the Department of Justice and the DFA. And of course, the head of the executive department, and of course, even the Supreme Court. Lahat po yan, the legal system is being challenged that way. I don't think it's right, Ed, for them to even challenge a legal system.
Okay, sir. Sige, Amy, go ahead.
Secretary, sabi ni Ed, lilipat na ako ng ibang topic. You want to ask some more questions about ICC?
If you want, Amy, let's shift gears. We just need to go into a break, a quick break. If you want, let's shift gears when we come back from the break. I'll toss the question back to you, kagad.
Sige.
Okay, sir, balik lang tayo after a very short break. We will continue our conversation with Justice Secretary Boying Remulla after this breather. Stay with us here in One News. Welcome back to the Chiefs on One News, and still with us, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla. Ami, go ask your question.
Yes, my question is related pa rin to human rights, pero segue na ako. Kasi sabi ni Ambassador Babe Romualdez, tuloy na yata si President Marcos sa UN General Assembly, which is next month na. And usually they tackle human rights. Would you have an idea if he will be tackling that issue pag nag-address siya sa General Assembly?
Well, of course, there will be sub-meetings though within the General Assembly. I don't know if I'll be asked to come with the President. Of course, I'll be ready if need be, and if he has to be briefed about certain matters, we will, to the best of our abilities, have the department prepare the briefing kits for him.
O sige, babaguhin ko na talaga. Meron din kayong proposal. Merong proposal sa House na i-abolish na yung PCGG. Pero ang sabi niyo raw, you're looking more at expanding the functions of the commission.
Well, yes, I know where you're coming from. I know where they're coming from also. Kasi nga, it's been 36 years since the PCGG came to life. And there seems to be no end to it. And if you look at it, talagang pwede na talagang ma-terminate ang resistance niya. Ipasa na lang yan sa ibang agencies. But of course, the other thing that can also be done is to expand its functions so it can cater to other clientele. Wag naman isang pamilya lang ang ating tinitira. Let us look at the other things that it can do, or what the core competence of the PCGG is. And basically, it's asset management. It's asset management. I think that that is a skill that they've developed through the years. And ang sabi ko nga, we have no central authority that keeps a tab on all forfeited assets and all forfeitures done by government. We might as well start doing it now. And the PCGG probably is qualified to do that. Kasi nga, from cost of seizures, criminal proceedings, drug busts, criminal activity, fruits of criminal activity, all forfeited properties will not go to waste, but will go to a certain authority for proper accounting before they're turned over to the Treasury or before they're liquidated for special laws that may be passed utilizing the funds raised through this authority.
Pero sa tingin niyo, dapat siyang ilagay under a regular department or some other agency?
Well, sa regular department yan, walang babagsakan yan kung Department of Justice din.
Yes.
Or Department of Finance, whichever the case may be. Ang sabi ko lang, might as well look at the other side of the coin and look at it as an expertise developed. Baka naman pwedeng gumawa tayo ng central authority to manage all forfeited assets. And that's what I want to happen. If not the PCGG, then we have to put up one office, that is.
Sir, cambio naman ako sa ibang topic. As Justice Secretary, you're of course also a senior member of the Anti-Terrorism Council. I'm wondering lang kung ano na yung policy direction ng ating gobyerno regarding relations with what you might call the legal left. For example, the Makabayan Bloc. Siyempre, iba yung wala nang tanong dun sa NPA. Pero dun sa Makabayan Bloc, for example, what kind of a relationship are you looking at, or is this government looking at as far as they're concerned?
Well, Ed, wala namang problema yan. Basta wag lang tutulong sa armed struggle ang mga tao, kahit ano pang grupo yan, walang problema. Ang problema kasi pag sumuporta sila sa isang samahan na nag-aadika ng violence laban sa gobyerno at sa mga ahente nito, syempre magkakaproblema tayo. But if it's through peaceful means, I have no problem with the Makabayan Bloc. I've worked with them in Congress.
Pero sir, for example, the NTC earlier acted on hindi masabing policy, pero on earlier statements by some members of the NTF-ELCAC resulting in the banning or the barring of the websites of, for example, bulatlat.com, among other websites. I'm wondering what the policy direction is as far as that, for example, is concerned.
Wala naman, no? And as long as there's no law violated, why should we even act on any matter of this nature? Ang mahirap lang talaga, Ed, we try to build our country while some people try to destroy it. Basta wag lang sasama sa destruction of country through violent means, wala namang problema siguro. Ang problema lang dyan, pagka talagang nagkaroon na ng relationship yan, ng support sa armed struggle, saka sa ganitong hindi lang armed struggle, sa violence against law enforcement agents, then they will have a problem. Pero tingin ko naman wala naman. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, balikan ko lang yung your department has jurisdiction over the NBI. Marami ngayong kumakalat na story. We don't know how accurate they are. Mga kinikidnap na babae, mga katibatang babae, at pagkatapos nawawala. Are you looking into this? The NBI looking into this?
Yes, the intelligence service of the NBI is collating all of these stories. And they send people to the field when they hear about reports of this nature. Ang mahirap na nga dyan, pagka walang attribution ang mga sources, you reach a dead end. So far naman, the only thing that the NBI stopped doing, that I asked them to stop doing, is to stop playing with the pogos. Kasi parang naging hanap buhay na napapasama na imahe ng NBI. Tama na. Let's fight the crimes that matter to us. Ito ang pinakamahalaga. Let's not waste our resources or energy on matters that do not concern us.
So far, wala naman tayong na-establish na trend na mga nagkikidnap daw na nakasakay sa white van at tinatarget sa mga babae, nag-iikot sa kalye, bigla na lang dinudukot. Wala naman yan. That's unverified sa ngayon.
Unverified pa, Ami. Unverified pa. And I don't think madaling gawin yan. Iba na rin ang technology ngayon eh. Mahuhuli na CCTV yan kung meron nangyayari. Pero so far, wala naman talaga.
Sir, let me ask you about the case of Leila De Lima. We've over the past few months, we've had several witnesses, prominent witnesses, who recanted their testimonies publicly, although not yet in court. What do you see in terms of the prosecution of the cases against Leila De Lima with these recantations in mind?
Well, Ed, if you speak about recantations, they were done on April 30. Apat na buwan na mula nung publicly lumabas ang recantations, pero hanggang ngayon walang pinapalabas na affidavit of recantation na pinafile sa korte. And this can only have value or even bearing if these are filed in court and witnessed and people who made affidavits will stand as witnesses and attest for the truth of what they're saying in their affidavits. And syempre, ano yan eh, parang turning the tables yan.
Yes, sir.
In that case, the prosecution will have to cross-examine these witnesses. But so far, Ed, wala talagang recantation na file sa court na maayos. I think they tried filing one redacted affidavit, but that has no value whatsoever, Ed, by any court in this world. Kaya, I'm sorry to say, sana, kung may affidavit of recantation, dalhin nila sa korte at umistigan na yung mga nililitan. That's what I'm waiting for up to now.
Yes, sir. We talked to the lawyer of Leila De Lima. I think it was just last week. Ang sabi niya, they've been wanting to bring these recantations to court. Pero I'm not exactly sure kung anong dahilan eh. It's either the scheduling of the hearings or some other administrative matter. Ang fear nila, sabi niya, at least ang sabi ni Attorney Dino, ang fear nila baka abutin ng next year pa kung sakaling ganito talaga yung maging trend dun sa hearings, baka next year pa or further down the road bago nila maiharap ang kanilang mga recantations.
Anthony, if you're talking about the stage in the proceedings where it's already their turn to present the evidence, we are not in a position to delay anything here. Sila lang ang pwede mag-delay. Kaya sana, ilabas na nila yung gusto nila ilabas, all the evidence in chief that would acquit Leila De Lima if they have any, or if they will really fight it out, sana ilabas na nila, at tapusin na yung proceedings. Kasi nga, sa ating sistema ng justisya ngayon, in our system of justice now, the prosecution is not allowed to delay it by a single day. And even the defense will suffer if they delay it. Sana naman wag na nilang ipag-suffer pa yung defense by delaying the case. Gawin na nila yung dapat gawin. I think they're supposed to have settings the past few days. I don't know what happened. I have not followed. I've been too busy to follow it. But I was told that there were supposed to be some settings this week. I don't know what happened.
Speaking of delayed justice, Secretary, you've been on the job for 2 months now. And of course, you've been a lawyer for most of your adult life. Anong nakikita niyo? Dahil ang pinakamalaking, one of the biggest problems in our country is the weakness of the justice system. Mabagal na mabagal, inaabot daw ng 20 years. At ang sabi ng mga tao, well, we always say that justice delayed is justice denied. So nakikita niyo, where can reforms be implemented para mapabilis yung sistema? From the prosecution side, I know you're not in charge of the judiciary, pero yung sa prosecution, ano kaya ang pwedeng gawin para mapabilis ng order?
Ang pinakamahalaga, Ami, huwag mag-file ng flimsy cases. Kasi nga, this results to untold sufferings to people. Kaya ang aking ang move ngayon ng DOJ is, and the DILG is for the police and the prosecutors to work together so the case build-ups will be better and all the evidence can be presented immediately to the courts. Sa criminal cases, ang nagpapatagal talaga yung mga kasong puro postpone. And ang court naman gumawa na naman ng rules of postponement, talagang and rules of continuous trial. Kaya ang mas mahalaga siguro yung pagka-case build-up ng kaso, diyan kami makakatulong, palakasin na yung mga kaso file at kung di rin malakas ang kaso, wag na i-file. Kaya may proposal nga kami sa Supreme Court na ang preliminary investigation, hindi lang siya merong looking at probable cause, but also there should be an attestation by the prosecutor that there's a reasonable certainty that the person charged with a crime will be convicted thereof based on the evidence available to the prosecution. So we want to elevate the standard of prosecution by making sure that our batting average will improve by leaps and bounds given this kind of setup. When the day that we start having the police and prosecution work together closely, that will be the day when the criminal justice system will be a deterrent itself to the commission of crimes. Yung pinakamahalaga kasi, the certainty of punishment is, I think, is the best deterrent to any crime. Pag alam nila mapaparusahan sila, hindi na nila gagawin.
May initial reaction na bang Supreme Court sa ganyang proposal?
They're very, very amenable to it. And we will be working on it in the next few months. Napag-usapan na namin to many times. But I think it will come something will come out of this very soon.
Yep.
We're just waiting for the JSCC to convene again to formalize all of these proposals.
Yung mga drug cases na iniimbestigahan, will it help if special courts are formed para lang mapabilis yung prosecution? Kasi sinasabi...
Meron ng special courts, Ami.
Yes.
There are special
For
courts.
the drug cases.
Yes, for the drug cases. Meron na tayong special courts. Ang nagiging problema dyan sa drug cases talaga, yung chain of custody. And there are many acquittals because of that. In fact, overwhelming acquittals dahil hindi na susunod yung technical requirement. Kaya nga ang aking ngayon, ang sinasabi ko nga, let the fiscals and the policemen work together in the solution of crimes. Ang ang talagang gusto nga namin mangyari, pag may police operation, sumama na ang fiscals para talagang open and closed case na kagad. Talagang i-present na sa korte and let there be a continuous trial para matapos kagad ang proseso. Ang problema talaga dyan, pagka mahina ang kaso, tapos na-transfer ang police, pag tinilipat ang police, walang testigo, mapopospone, tapos minsan nalilimutan na yung tao. Kaya nga meron nga yung aking sabi sa akin ni Professor Raymond Naran, is a professor of criminal justice na sumikat sa Amerika, who was wrongfully detained in our country for 7 years. Sabi niya nga, yun talaga ang pinaka-problema. Pagka nalimutan na may tao pa ron na nag-iintay na mahihirang kanyang kaso. Tapos na ang sentensya, nakakulong pa sila. Kahit na hindi pa sila napapatunayang may sala.
Okay, we'd like to say thank you to our guest for tonight, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla. Sir, thank you for joining us and ingat parate.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Secretary.
Thank you.
We are starting up another conversation after this breather. The Chiefs will be right back.
Libreng sakay ng MMDA, kulang na kulang daw sa biglang dami ng mga commuters ikalawang araw ng face-to-face classes.
Sabay-sabay na po talaga lahat. Kaya po talaga ganito pa rin dagsa pa rin ng commuters. Opo, during rush hour lang naman po. Maaga rin naman po agad lumuluwag.
Transportation Department humiling ng pondo sa Kamara para patuloy na umarangkada hanggang sa 2023 ang programang Libreng Sakay.
We are appealing, of course, to our legislative branch of government kung maaari pong mapondohan pa rin po itong service contracting upang next year po ay magkaroon pa ng pondo para sa libreng sakay.
No more funds for the Libreng Sakay next year. Let's ask our Transportation Undersecretary Mark Steven Pastor, who joins us live via Zoom. Sir, magandang gabi and welcome to the Chiefs.
Magandang gabi po at magandang gabi rin po sa lahat na nakikinig at nanonood sa ating ngayon.
Yes, sir.
Evening.
Sir, well, yun nga ang daming umasa sa Libreng Sakay. At least for this year. And as we did report a while ago, wala siya sa budget or sa NEP for next year. And you made an appeal na sana maidagdag. Any response to that so far? Kasi nasabit na yung NEP. Paano yun?
That is correct, sir. No? The DOTr proposed a 12 billion budget for the service contracting program, upon which dito po nanggagaling yung ating libreng sakay for fiscal year 2023. However, as mentioned po, it was not included in the National Expenditure Program. But I just want to emphasize po that this is similar to our situation last year. Wala rin po siya sa NEP at dahil po sa tulong ng ating mga kasamahan sa civil society groups, gayon din po sa ating legislative branch of government. Biyayaan po tayo ng 7 billion for this year and hopefully it will be replicated for next year po.
So umaasa pa kayo na na maihahabol siya.
Opo, gawa po na napakalaki ho talaga ng impact nito, hindi lamang po sa drivers, sa operators natin, bagkus pati po sa ating mga pasahero. At alam po ito ng ating mga mambabatas at kami po ay umaasa na magkaroon pa rin ng pondo for next year.
What about yung sa mga jeepneys naman? Kasi mukhang mababa yata yung kahit nagbukas daw ng maraming routes, parang kulang pa rin yung mga lumabas na jeepney. Hindi yata maganda yung response. Kumusta naman yan?
Well, tama po, no? We opened up additional routes in view of the opening of the face-to-face classes po. Marami po tayong binuksang mga ruta for public utility jeepneys, public utility buses, yung UV Express, focusing po dito po sa ating mga university belts, the one in Manila, and even here in Quezon City. Ang feedback naman po sa amin is that talagang meron pa rin hong may pila pa rin ho, but sufficient naman po ang ating public transportation. It's just that dito po sa Commonwealth, kung saan ho lagi nakikita natin sa news, marami po yung kababayan natin pinipili po yung mga libreng sakay po dyan sa rutang iyan, katulad po ng binibigay ng Philippine Coast Guard, gayon din po ng Quezon City Local Government at ng MMDA po.
So you're saying yung mga available jeepneys talaga naglabasan na lahat? Kasi yun yung initial report na hindi daw naglalabasan pa rin.
Yes, ma'am. Opo, naglalabasan na po sila dahil gawa nga po na punuan po lagi ang ating mga public utility vehicles ngayon. And that, of course, tinitingnan din po kasi nila, binabalansi ho nila yung viability ng pagbiyahe nila dahil mataas nga po ang presyo ng petroleum products pa rin. But based on the information from the ground, especially from LTFRB po, 80 to 90% naman po ng public transportation, especially yung jeepneys po, ay bumabiyahe po. Especially during rush hour.
Pero sir, some of the reports... Pero sir, some of the reports that we've also received, at least as of yesterday, may mga, because of the pandemic in the last 2 years, may mga units na hindi na umandar, hindi na asikaso, at may mga prangkisa na napasok. And that adds to the problem of, units filling up itong mga rutang ito.
Opo, but again po, we are providing certain remedies po for our operators and drivers to still run and fly the routes, specifically under the leadership of LTFRB now, under Chairperson Cheloy Garafil. Yung mga school bus po in particular pa, if I may add, kahit po yung hindi na po nakapag-renew, in-extend pa rin ho yung validity ng permits nila. Even if they are more than 15 years, so long as they are roadworthy, para po marami pa po tayong magagamit dyan. Ganun din po sa ating mga public utility vehicles, particular sa jeep, they are no longer required to get yung updated their CPCs. So long as there's a valid CPC, hindi na po nila kailangan kumuha ng special permit. They can already run their routes po upang may available po tayong public transportation. Lalong-lalo na po ngayon na naglalabasan na nga po lahat.
Well, sa ngayon, mukhang okay pa naman yung, kaya pa ng mga trans-PUVs natin. But it's not yet full 100% face-to-face. Paano pagpasok ng November kapag nag-100% na? Makakayanan ba natin? Are you preparing contingencies kung sakaling malaking pagkukulang ang makita natin?
Tama po, so we are still, we are talking to our transport operators, our consortiums, na kung meron pa ho silang i-apply na additional na units, this will be the time for it. So that in preparation for November 2, lahat po ng available public utility vehicles po natin ay nasa lansangan na po at nagbibigay na po ng serbisyo sa ating mga kababayan.
Sir, there were earlier, balik tayo sa Libreng Sakay, there were earlier problems with the payments for the service contractors. I mean, it did seem to be a recurring problem in the last year or so na meron tayong Libreng Sakay. Parating may nagrereklamo na mahaba-haba yung delay. I'm wondering how far we've gone in resolving that issue.
We recognize that and we confirm po na talagang nagkaroon po ng kahit paano delay sa payments po natin dito sa service contracting, especially during the transition from the previous administration to the new one, ngayon po under this new administration because of the changing of the officials as well. So may konting delay po, but we are glad to inform you po that I was informed by LTFRB earlier na yung payments po, yung payouts na tinatawag for service contracting, particularly here sa EDSA Busway, ang pinaprocess na po ngayon ay ang first at second week ng August. So that is in placing na po sa ating schedule ngayon because when they run their routes, they will compute the number of kilometers that they will run and it will take a few days for them to submit the documentation. So almost na po tayo, current na po.
Yusek, may isa pang pinoproblema ngayon yung mga PUVs yung no contact apprehension na may participation of course yung Land Transportation Office registration yan So,
yes, ma'am.
Kanina, sinabi ng LTO, nakikiusap daw sila sa mga LGUs, nababaan yung fine. Ano ba yung pwedeng gawin dyan ng Department of Transportation para man lang siguro mamagitan or to streamline the rules, Kasi yun lang naman yung ang reklamo ng karamihan
Opo, Ma'am Ami, napakagandang punto po. No? We should just give emphasis. We would want to emphasize at this point na ito pong NCAP po natin is a project of the 5 local government units here in the National Capital Region. And base po kasi sa mandato ng LTO under Republic Act 4136 that they will apply the existing laws of the land including ordinances. So ito po ay suportado ng ordinansa kung kaya't ini-implement din po ng LTO. Ngunit dito po sa amin sa DOTr at sa LTO po, naiintindihan din po namin yung mga hinaing ng ating mga kababayan kung kaya't nag-inisyatibo na rin po tayo na bumuo ng technical working group. Ito pong ating LTO para makita ho yung holistic approach dito sa issues na nababanggit po sa atin sa social media and even po yung mga dumudulog sa amin sa mga opisina. And we will provide the recommendations po to the local government units. In fact, the LTO has met earlier the representatives of the 5 local government units. At doon na po, binabanggit na nga po kung ano po yung aming mga rekomendasyon na kung paano pa ho natin mapapaganda itong kanilang programa.
So nakapag-meeting na kayo sa local governments, what about the MMDA? Kasi sabi ng MMDA, meron din silang NCAP. Wala naman daw nagre-reklamo sa kanila kasi maayos naman daw yung implementation nila.
Part and parcel din po that we are coordinating of course with MMDA. They are one of our long-standing partner agencies. At katulad po nung nabanggit din nila, we read and it was relayed to us na yung NCAP po nila is kumbaga in-house. Wala po silang service provider and they have been implementing that for the longest time. But then again po, holistic po yung approach natin dito. It has to be a uniform approach po kasi pare-pareho lang naman yung objective natin dito, mapaayos yung ating traffic rules and regulation.
Yes.
And in addition to that, ang MMDA po is the Secretariat for the Metro Manila Council.
Yes.
So it's just only proper po na kasama po talaga natin sila sa diskurso po kung paano po malulutas ng mga issues ng NCAP.
So yung task force is interagency and you're working on uniform rules, traffic rules, pati na ba fine? Pwede bang sabihin nyo na yun ang objective nun? Kasi yun ang problema ng lahat, ang gulo-gulo raw eh.
Opo, yung technical working group po namin is an internal initiative of DOTr. So it is composed of members from the LTO and DOTr. Ngunit yung amin pong output will be relayed to the local government units at gayon din po sa MMDA. We just want to, ayaw din po kasi namin to overstep our boundaries because of the autonomy that the LGU exercises at this point.
Yung nga sir, how much authority do you have over decisions made by the LGUs? In the end sir, this will only be recommendatory, di ba? As far as policies are concerned, kanya-kanya pa rin yan in the end.
And so far as the mandate and the ordinances of the local government units, it's really independent from our agency.
Yes, sir.
But again, we would like to think that this is a whole of government approach and that each and every agency should work together so that to achieve what is really the intention of this program.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think one of the biggest issues being raised against NCAP is not even constitutional eh. Kasi in the end naman, the LGUs do have autonomy. They do have authority granted them by the local government code. I think the main complaint is parang nauna yung technology bago yung infrastructure ng kalsada. Nauna maglagay ng CCTV para manghuli ng mga tumatawid ng lane samantalang hindi na ayos yung pintura sa mga lane. So hindi mo malaman kung anong bawal at ano hindi. Yung mga ganun. Things that...
Tinanggal yung mga timer. Tinanggal yung countdown timer.
Actually, practical...
Para madaling manghuli
Yes, sir.
sa gitna.
Actually, sir, practical issues eh. Not even constitutional issues eh. Practical issues that have to do with the boots on the ground, or wheels on the ground.
Tama po. Ito po yung these are the little things that we can address at the soonest. No? That is why the technical working group is really working hard so that we can compile and we can compile all the issues that were raised. And if we find it meritorious, we will of course submit it to the appropriate local government unit and the MMDA po so that maging basically these are birth pains of the program. We understand that and we are here to help DOTr po and LTO.
But in the meantime, sa ngayon, hindi pa rin makakapag-register ang mga motorist kung hindi na-settle yung mga NCAP fines na pina-forward sa inyo yung mga alerts.
Opo, that is part of the review po ng LTO if there will be a way that is, kumbaga, middle ground between the local government units and that of the complaints nga po. No? Ito po ay masusing inaaral po ng ating technical working group. I just don't want to dwell on the details po because I understand this is the subject of several petitions in court. Kaya kami naman po talagang kung ano po yung maaari namin maitulong para maibsan po yung issues ng ating mga kababayan and at the same time, ma-implement pa rin po itong polisiya ng ating local government units.
Okay, maraming salamat. Transportation Undersecretary Mark Steven Pastor, sir, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Salamat po at magandang. Salamat po.
And that's it for this Thursday edition of The Chiefs. We hope what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. I'm Ed Lingao.
I'm Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.